you have to move on. And trying to do that and it being really difficult.
Janet Jackson probably thought that the third time would be the charm with the last husband, but he reportedly turned out to be her worst ex yet, and everything came crashing down for her when they eventually split. What happened between them was just awful, and you'll never believe the sad details of their relationship. Janet Jackson has not had the best streak when it comes to getting married. She had her first wedding when she was only 18, and the relationship was over just a year later. Then she secretly married dancer Renee Elizondo Jr. in the early 90s. They actually lasted quite a while compared to her first marriage, but after 8 years they separated and Renee ended up filing a huge lawsuit against her. So in 2010, people had high hopes that Janet had found Mr. Right when she began dating the Qatar business spokesperson Wissam Al-Mana, but no one had any idea just how horrible things would get between the couple. Things started off well enough. Wissam presented himself as kind of a gentleman at first. He told the Man magazine that he wasn't dating Janet. He said that she was his girlfriend and that there was a difference. Over a year into the relationship, he told Harper's Bazaar Arabia that the two had a deep bond and a deep connection. He admitted that he was fortunate enough to be dating his dream woman, and in 2013, he gave details about tying the knot with Janet. He explained to Entertainment Tonight that the rumors regarding an extravagant wedding was simply not true. He revealed that they were married in a quiet, private, and beautiful ceremony. But after that, things began to go downhill. In 2014, rumors started spreading that there was trouble in paradise, and in 2015, a lot of us began to get a little worried when Janet seemingly just disappeared from the public eye for a while. She then suddenly popped up pretty much out of nowhere though, and announced that she had new music to release and was going on tour. But in 2016, just as the tour was getting started, Janet shared that she was postponing it because she and her husband were planning their family. A few months later, it was confirmed that she was in fact pregnant. She gave birth to their son, Issa Al-Mana, at the age of 50. For most couples, having a baby is a happy start of a new chapter in their relationship, but for Janet and Wissam, it was the beginning of the end of theirs. One of Page Six's insiders revealed that Janet believed that Wissam had gotten too controlling during her pregnancy, and I think Wissam wasn't happy being depicted that way, because the very same day that the news report came out about him, he posted a message about Janet on his own website. He thanked Janet for her divine love and total support and for being his best friend. He also said that he loved her and that they'd be together in the great forever. Although he was trying to come across as someone who cared deeply for his ex, there was other people who started to confess things that didn't exactly paint him in a good light. Among these people were also someone related to Janet. Her older brother Randy began to speak out against Wissam in late 2017. He spoke to people in a tell-all interview, and what he had to say was absolutely shocking. I mean, he really held nothing back when it came to talking about his ex-brother-in-law, and it turns out that he had no idea just how unhealthy Janet's relationship had allegedly been until Randy opened his mouth. He explained that Janet had been through a lot with her divorce. He said that Wissam had become toxic later on in their relationship, that he was verbally harmful toward his sister, and that she was made to feel like a prisoner in her own home. Randy and Janet were living in London when she was with Wissam. He confessed that Wissam was reportedly calling her derogatory names every day while she was pregnant. He was sure to clarify that things never got physical, but the emotional toll was pretty brutal, and he was worried about his little sister. Leaving a marriage like that is never easy, and a lot of spouses can get stuck in a terrible relationship for a long time. But luckily for Janet, she was reportedly rescued from her difficult situation. According to Randy, he told her that she had to move in with him or he was going to go over to hers and there would be serious trouble. Apparently, Janet was angry with him for saying that, but Randy said that he didn't care anymore. He was tired of it. So he supposedly contacted other members of the Jackson family to help out. His mom and his sister, Rebby, came from the US to London. According to Page Six, sources later confirmed that it was Randy who played a big part in helping Janet get out of the relationship. Apparently, having her mother and her sister there made a big difference. The insider said that the family's support she received was what helped give her the strength to leave her controlling husband. But even once they gotten divorced, Wissam still allegedly did some unbelievable things to her. After they split, the exes had to sort out the custody of their son. Janet released a video on Twitter confirming her separation and revealed that she was in court and that the rest was in God's hand. In the end, she was able to leave the UK and take Issa with her to start a new life back in the US. Once there, she continued the tour that she'd begun before she got pregnant, but it seems like this was a really tough period, and Randy spilled the beans on what was going on in her life at the time. In his interview with People, he shared that Janet had been crying on stage during her shows. He claimed that Wissam was still harming her verbally and emotionally, and he went on to say that although she had custody and Wissam allowed her to bring the baby on tour, it was still constant harassment. Apparently a year later, things were still pretty heated between the ex-husband and wife, and the drama that happened between them in the summer of 2018 was just so insane. Janet called the cops to do a welfare check on her son, who was being looked after by Wissam at the time. They were staying in a hotel in Malibu, along with the toddler's nanny. In a report by TMZ, it was revealed that the police found nothing dangerous, and they claimed that Janet had supposedly been worried that Wissam had been taking illegal substances around their child. But guess who spoke to Entertainment Tonight to give their version of what really happened? Randy once again decided to weigh in on his sister's private life. He revealed to the media outlet that the nanny had supposedly called Janet and told her about Wissam's aggressive behavior. Then the next day, the blast released a report that specified the real reason things got so out of hand was due to a Wi-Fi issue. Apparently, the nanny freaked out when Wissam wouldn't give her the password to the Wi-Fi, claiming that it meant she couldn't contact Janet. So she supposedly was unable to do her job and stay in communication during an instance when it was necessary. People on Wissam's team pointed out that Wi-Fi wasn't needed to stay in communication, and it was shameful that the police were called. Just days later, another report came out which claimed that the reason the marriage ended was because of cultural differences. A source told people that during their marriage, Janet worked hard on adapting to Wissam's culture, but she found it challenging. And now that they shared custody, it'd been very difficult for Janet that her ex-partner had a completely different parenting approach than she did. So it sounds like raising Issa will be a challenge for both of them if they're not on the same page when it comes to raising him. But we know that he is deeply loved by his mother. In January 2023, Janet wished him a happy birthday on Instagram, saying that she loved him and that she was so proud of who he was. And as for Randy, while TMZ reported that he was blamed for fanning the flames by sharing all those private details with the press, and that he inserted himself to no good end. However, Randy claimed that the reason he spoke up about it was not because of anger or vengeance. He said that his family didn't like to put their business out there, but sometimes transparency could help. But what do you guys think? Do you believe that Randy did more bad than good by letting the public know what was going on? Do you think that Janet and Wissam will always have problems co-parenting together? Let me know in the comments below.